you are managing engineering team also, right? So I want
used
used to. So and I know that you were once upon a time in startup, and you spent a long time in Microsoft in MSR. Specifically here, where you are head of the whole division as such. So what are the best practices of engineering you are using? What are the methodologies you are using? Is it Scrum, Kanban? Can you talk a little bit about your engineering?
Yeah, so we,
practices?
from the product standpoint, we definitely use Kanban boards. So we use a product called Product Board to just, do a high-level sync between the product and engineering on what we are doing. So there's, as you know, from your Microsoft days, you go about planning in certain cycles. So we have both an on-prem product and a cloud product. Our on-prem product runs with a cadence of about 6 months. So every 6 months we release the product. So you can imagine everything flows from there. So for the first month, we would be doing the planning and prototyping and things in the middle. Then for the next 2-3 months, we are doing the coding. 1 month before the release, the code complete deadline happens. And then at some point after that, you hit the ZVP. And we release the candidates. So we have a preview program. We test it out with a set of customers, and so it's your classic model. But in our cloud products,
how you plan your products? Do you write a BRD, business requirement documents, and then the functional spec, tech spec? Does all this documentation happen? Or
so the way we do it specifically in my team is we have we start with what is called a one pager. So if, for example, we need to start, let's say, go into a new area, let's say with AI Fabric, we wanted to go in and do on-prem version of AI Fabric. What does that even mean, right? So write down a simple one pager, send it to the management chain up and down to get everyone on the same page. Then we go the Amazon style route where we expand the one pager into a 6-pager, which puts in more detail on what exactly needs to happen there. The 6-pager is distributed to the individual PMs who are responsible from then taking the parts in that 6-pager and defining the exact features. The features go into your Kanban board. Then the features, from the Kanban, we link it to Jira.
So this feature, when the PM is writing, this is the functional spec, basically.
Not the functional spec. This is just a very high level
spec. It's not a waterfall functional spec of 200 pages, but few pages.
It's just few paragraphs.
Few paragraphs. So do you write tech spec after that?
Yes. So so the real spec is written in Jira. So we go in, write the real spec in Jira, because in Jira what happens is then devs can start interacting with that stuff. So as soon as they have questions coming in, we can start answering those questions in Confluence.
Okay. So you write it in Confluence, the tech specs, right? In Jira you will have maybe your sprint plan and Kanban board. Okay. So you do the documentation of at least spec is there in some form, then tech spec, and then the code only.
So you can imagine, we have geo-distributed teams. So we have teams in Bucharest, India, here in Bellevue, and they work in all different
time zones. Do you have any test team? Or
we do have a QA team,
Do you have
because
a QA
you can
team?
imagine, for the on-prem product, you definitely need a QA team.
So you didn't get on that fashion bandwagon of no test?
In cloud, we do that. So in cloud, we do that, but we needed a QA team because, as you can imagine, our product, the problem with on-prem products is you don't get any telemetry back, right? So in cloud, if something is not working, you can see that the feature is not working. You can go fix it in a completely, agile way, and that works out pretty well. If you have a product that goes on-prem and they are deploying it in an air-gapped environment where you don't get any telemetry back, your product is supposed to work really, really well there. So we make sure.
So you still maintain the QA team for the on-prem product. So you have not embraced that no more test and it's all dev. But I agree with you. For on-prem, you do have a QA team. Right.
Definitely. We've seen, that's how we maintain really high quality of our products. You definitely need the QA team. It doesn't have to be a large QA team. Like if you remember in Microsoft, it was lopsided. QA team was almost as large, if not larger, than the dev team.
Yes.
That's not the case in UiPath.
Right. And then we used to have a release team.
Yes.
And all that. I remember release meetings used to be there.
Yep.
And,
so we do have a release team, but it's mostly PMs, and we have release managers, because at the end of the day, somebody needs to do the checkpointing of the things, right? So for example, if you're hitting code complete right now, you want to make sure that the build is built. You hit the ZBB, the QA team gives a go ahead. Product marketing says yes, this is we are ready with the messaging. Documentation team has to be ready, support has to be ready to take the product so that when it's deployed to the customer, they can start supporting the things. So somebody has to run the trains on time,
right?
And so that's the job of the release team to do that.
Okay, but you don't have a release manager title as such. It's all done by your PMs.
We actually do.
You do? Oh,
yep.
Okay.
So we have release managers, but as I said, they are PMs.
Okay, they are PMs.
They are PMs. Yep.
Okay.
But they don't report to specific functions. Like there is a team of release managers which sits across the product line. So we have a platform where we have close to about 9 to 10 different product lines.
Okay.
And so the release managers I think they're like 4 or 5 of them, which sit on top of all those 10 product lines.